Hello, fellow Wolverines, and welcome back to Wolf TV SportsCenter. My name is Jack Dillon.
And I'm Jake Lancer.
In this week's episode, we'll break down men's basketball's trip out west against Washington and Oregon, women's basketball games against Illinois and Vanderbilt, men's hockey road sweep at Minnesota, women's gymnastics match against Minnesota, and Michigan football's transfer portal updates.
The men's basketball team headed west this week for a two-game swing against Washington and Oregon. The Wolverines picked up two 10-point victories in hard-fought games, pulling away in the final minutes of both contests. The week started with a late-night tip in Seattle on Wednesday, January 14th. The game featured an excellent showing from Michigan's big men Adai Mara and Merez Johnson Jr., who pushed the Wolverines across the finish line on a night where the three-point shooting left something to be desired. Adai Mara led Michigan in scoring, finishing with 20 points on 10 of 11 shooting with 3 blocks. Merez Johnson Jr. had his third double-double of the season with 16 points and a 4-for-4 performance from the free throw line, and a career-high 16 rebounds. Also notable, Nimari Burnett scored his 1,000th career point on a second-half layup. Michigan came out quick to a 12-3 lead with 13 minutes left in the first and never looked back, keeping that 9-point lead all the way through the first half. A Washington rally whittled down the lead to 5 early in the second half. However, Dusty May quickly put Mara back in focus as the Huskies had no answer for his post presence. 2 dunks from the Spaniard extended the lead back to 10 with 12 minutes left to go, and Michigan kept the lead there for the rest of the game, ending in an 82-72 victory for the Wolverines.
The men's trip to the coast ended on Saturday, January 17th, when the Wolverines faced off against Oregon in an expected blowout. The Ducks were without their 2 best players at tip-off, but a standout performance from Oregon forward Sean Stewart led to a close game throughout. Elliot Cadeau led Michigan in scoring for the 3rd time this season, finishing with 17 points on 5 of 8 of shooting, with 2 3-pointers and a 5-for-7 mark at the free throw line. He also led the Wolverines with 5 assists. Nimari Burnett posted a full stat line with 15 points, 3 3-pointers, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block, scoring 10 of his points in the first half. Michigan came out to an early 5-point lead after holding Oregon scoreless for nearly 3 straight minutes. However, Oregon clawed back and even took the lead going into half. Tremendous second-half defense from the Wolverines helped slam the door on the Ducks, as the Wolverines emerged victorious with an 81-71 victory. The men's team is back in Ann Arbor this week for 2 conference matchups against Indiana on Tuesday and Ohio State on Friday, while Trey Burke will have his jersey retired.
On Thursday, January 15th, the number 8 Michigan women's basketball team faced off against number 25 Illinois at home. The Wolverines led the whole game by as many as 18 points and tallied their 2nd win against a ranked opponent on the season. Olivia Olson led 3 other players with double-digit points, scoring 21 points, going 4 for 6 from 3 and 5 for 7 from the line. Tayala Delfos went for 15 points with 6 rebounds off the bench. Mila Holloway added 13 points with a career-high 9 rebounds, and Silas Swords scored 11 points with 5 assists.
Then on Monday, January 19th, the Wolverines traveled to Newark in a showdown against number 5 Vanderbilt. Swords and Kendall Dudley both tallied 16 points, and Olson added 14, going 4 for 4 from the line. A basket from Swords in the final minute put Michigan within 4 points to force overtime. Kendall Dudley stole the ball at half, netting a layup to bring it to 71-69 with 44 seconds remaining. The Commodores assumed possession of the ball, missing twice and allowing Michigan to call a timeout and advance the ball with 13 seconds to play. Delfos found Olson for a 3-pointer that went off the rim, allowing Vanderbilt to advance the ball after a timeout with 3 seconds left to go and forcing the Wolverines to foul. Vanderbilt split their free throws, bringing the score to 72-69, giving Michigan one more opportunity to score with 2.5 seconds remaining. Swords fired a 3-pointer from the corner, which fell short as time expired. The Wolverines will travel to Piscataway, New Jersey to face Rutgers on Thursday, January 22nd.
Michigan hockey traveled to Minneapolis for a series against the Minnesota Golden Gophers on January 16th and 17th. In the first matchup, the Wolverines came out with a dominant performance, cruising to a 5-1 victory in their first full game without star goalie Jack Ivankovic. Tyler Duke opened the scoring early in the first period, and after Minnesota briefly tied the game on a power play goal, Michigan pulled away with 4 unanswered tallies. Goals from Michael Hage, Jaden Perrone, Nick Moldenhauer, and TJ Hughes powered the offense, while freshman backup goalie Stephen Peck was in net, only needing to make 17 saves to secure the win. The following night was a much closer game, but we still managed to complete the sweep with a 3-2 overtime win. Garrett Shifsky put us on the board first, but Minnesota responded with 2 power play goals to take the lead. TJ Hughes tied it up late in the second period, and Jaden Perrone sealed it in OT with a beautiful breakaway goal. With this conference sweep, Michigan is holding firm as the #1 team in the country as they head into their series against Ohio State on January 30th and 31st.
In its first conference meet of the season, 10th-ranked Michigan women's gymnastics just couldn't get the job done. U of M suffered its first loss of the season at Minnesota over the weekend. The Wolverines fell to the Golden Gophers 197.1 to 196.375 in a meet where they were playing catch-up ever since the first rotation. Junior Kaylee Boozer notched back-to-back balance beam titles, tying a career-high score of 9.950. Next up for the U of M is its home opener against Iowa in the 10th annual Flip for Chip meet on Saturday.
Michigan football's post-2025 offseason quickly turned around in one of the most emotional and eventful transfer cycles the program has seen in years. A coaching change in the January portal window forced tough decisions, and for many fans, the departures felt personal. The most emotional exit was quarterback Davis Warren, the former walk-on who became a symbol of Michigan's recent resilience. Warren led the Wolverines to signature wins over Ohio State and Alabama in 2024 before tearing his ACL early in the Alabama game, an injury that cost him the entire 2025 season. His transfer to Stanford in pursuit of a medical hardship waiver and extended eligibility marked the end of a story that resonated deeply with the fan base. Michigan's quarterback room otherwise turned over almost completely. Jaden Davis, a former 4-star recruit, entered the portal after backing up Bryce Underwood, while Mikey Keene transferred to Arizona State after injuries prevented him from ever taking a snap in Ann Arbor. Jake Garcia also moved on, briefly leaving Underwood as the only scholarship quarterback before Michigan added veteran Braden Fowler-Nicolosi from Colorado State and former LSU 4-star Colin Hurley for depth.
The Wolverines also lost one of their most exciting offensive players in Justice Haynes, who transferred to Georgia Tech. Before a foot injury ended his season, Haynes was among the nation's most productive running backs, rushing for 857 yards and 10 touchdowns, and carrying the offense through the first half of the year. His departure, along with Jasper Parker, thinned a position group that once looked like a major strength. Defensively, Michigan saw painful losses in the secondary. Starting safety Brandon Hillman left for Virginia, while nickel TJ Metcalf, who logged more snaps than any defender in 2025, transferred to Tennessee. Freshman quarter Jaden Sanders, who played more than 300 snaps, also departed for Notre Dame. Linebacker Cole Sullivan, a breakout player with 44 tackles and 3 interceptions, ultimately chose Oklahoma after briefly flirting with a return.
Still, there were wins that mattered just as much as the losses. Zeke Berry, a second-team All-Big Ten corner and one of Michigan's most reliable defenders, entered the portal before deciding to come back, stabilizing a battered secondary. On offense, starting linemen Andrew Sprague and Jake Guanera both withdrew from the portal, preserving the core of the offensive line and easing fears of a complete teardown up front. On the incoming side, new head coach Kyle Whittingham has made a number of statement signings. The headline addition was John Henry Daly, an All-American edge rusher from Utah who was among the national leaders in sacks and tackles for loss before injury. Michigan also added former #1 running back recruit Taylor Tatum from Oklahoma, giving the offense a high upside back to pair with a retooled run game. In the secondary, Smith Snowden, a second-team All-Big 12 corner from Utah, arrives as an instant plug-and-play starter. Michigan has also gone out and bolstered the still weak linebacking core, creating a very interesting defense for the upcoming 2026-27 season.
Well, it was one hell of a national championship last night between Miami and Indiana. First, 16-0 season since Yale in the 1800s.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, it was a tight game. People thought Indiana was going to blow out Miami. It ended up being tight, but you know, Indiana and Michigan, only 2 teams recently to go undefeated and win a national championship, Ohio State lost to complete the back-to-back Big
And,
Ten
and speaking of Ohio State, they'll be in town this Friday for the jersey unveiling for Trey Burke, which I'm just super excited for. I grew up a Michigan fan, and seeing him absolutely ball out in March Madness tournaments was one of my favorite things about Michigan basketball growing up. Him and Nick Stauskas, man.
Yeah.
That'll be all for this week's episode of Wolf TV SportsCenter. I'm Jack Dillon.
And I'm Jake Lancer.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.